Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44 with another video, and I'm sitting here in the dark as I like to do sometimes, thinking about the NFL draft, particularly one pick that has caught my attention. I thought it was super interesting. The Giants decided to go with the sixth pick, Daniel Jones. Um, Daniel Jones is a player out of Duke, pretty tall guy. He's basically out of the Eli Manning, Peyton Manning mold. He has the same quarterback coach as, I believe, Peyton Manning. So this was a big deal in terms of keeping the same culture going with what they had. The problem is they don't have a lot of skills players outside of Saquon, and they really, really needed to boost their defense almost as much as they needed a quarterback. And in getting this dude, they essentially said, forget the value of a pick that we have. Let's just go forward and take a quarterback because we're concerned that we're not going to get our guy. The logic behind that is skewed in so many different ways because the guy that they want was not even the 55th best quarterback on the board. So he probably would have been available in the second round if you just had to have him. They also had the 17th pick in the draft, so they could have got him there. A lot of people are saying it's a racial issue. I'm not gonna deny that is something that it looks like, to be honest with you. It was a very, very good quarterback sitting there waiting to be drafted, and they let him go to the Redskins in their very own division. They let him drop out of their hands, and they took the Daniel kid, and they left some really good, talented players on the board. So basically, what I'm coming here to say is this. I'm a basketball fan. I watch the NBA, and the NFL is like a secondary sport to me. My interest in that comes and goes, but this applies to the NBA, the NFL, particularly, and any other sport that involves a draft. If you have the first pick or a top pick in the draft, or if it's set up in a lottery system where the first 12 picks go to the worst teams or something like that, you have to respect the fact that you have first dibs in a pool that everybody wants to be first in, which means that before you pick your player, that pick itself holds so much more value before the pick is made. So much more value. And when you reach for players, you disregard that value. When you overreach for players, you neglect the value entirely. And it makes no sense. In this situation, if the Giants really wanted that guy that they got, Daniel Jones, they should have just traded down. You trade down, even if you're concerned that somebody's going to take him. You know no one wants a quarterback before the Redskins pick. And the Redskins were picking it, I think 9 or 10 or something like that. I'm not following as closely as many, but the Redskins had a few picks later. Why don't you just trade down? Trade down to 8. Try to get another pick out of the situation. Try to get a skills player out of the situation. Try to get a defender out of the situation. Try to get anything you can to bring back the same amount of value that a pick that you have is worth. So many times we've seen this. I remember screaming at my television a couple years back watching a basketball draft where the Bucks decided to take Thon Maker with the 10th pick in the draft, and I thought that was a horrible decision. Not because Thon wasn't going to be a nice player in the future or whatever, but because he wasn't supposed to go into the second round. They could have gotten that guy in the second round. Nobody blasted the pick on TV. Everybody was saying it was a little bit of a reach, but it was going to be all right because he fit the mold that the Bucks were looking for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The same stuff they're saying about this pick here, and I'm saying, you guys are missing the point. It does not matter if this guy turns out to be better than Eli Manning. It doesn't matter if Thon turns out to be just as good as a player of his caliber would want to be. It doesn't matter because what you had was the option out of a pool, and you neglected the value of that option. And that is what GMs neglect so often. And those mistakes are the type of mistakes that set your team back for decades sometimes. It can get that bad. And I think that may have been what happened to the Giants this evening. Of course, with the Bucks in that situation, it wasn't nearly that bad because they had a team and they were, that was already pretty talented. We see how the Bucks are doing. They're doing great. So that didn't set them back that far. But if you think about what they could have done for their team, they would have been that much better if they would have taken the 10th pick and properly used its value. They would have still had Thon Maker, and they still would have had something else that would have made their team that much better. The Giants could have turned the 6th pick into something else and still walked away with their guy. This was unacceptable. Point blank, period. Unacceptable. And I think that the leagues of this country, the sports leagues of this country, need to have a serious conversation about the value of picks and what it means to have high-level young prospects going into the hands of incompetent front offices. I think that's the conversation we need to have. We don't want our best stuff going to our most incompetent people, whether it be in business and in any type of facet. So it definitely should not be in sports as well, especially when you're paying these guys millions of dollars. Guys are coming in with elite, God-given ability that you can't find anywhere else in the world, and you send them into organizations that just flat out do stuff like this, where it's someone's vision that's pushing forward through sometimes through logic, through all different types of reasoning and advice that's given to them. They just push forward with their vision, and that vision sometimes is skewed by things that have to do with things outside of the field. In this case, it seemed like it was Manning politics / some vision of a white quarterback type deal, where, they just felt like they needed that old school white quarterback with the smart brain. Even though he's not as athletic, you just want to make sure that he's got that mentality that you're used to having from that old school football mentality. It's like I'm just going to say it, man, because I'm a black dude and I feel this way. And I think a lot of people do. It's just like a stigma that they have, that they think black people can't make good decisions in certain situations, even though we've proven ourselves to be good leaders in certain situations because of our culture and the differences of how we're perceived, that they don't think we can handle certain situations, or they think that we're going to be a detriment to the brand. So they think that putting a face that may not be as talented but a little more safe is the best way to go. Sometimes that translates to just being a skin thing, but other times it's an image thing, It doesn't have to necessarily be a white guy or a black guy. It just has to be somebody that they feel is safe for their brand, someone that's not going to give them hell. And with all the kneeling and everything that's going on with people having such differences, racial tension is super high, and I think people have their vision about what it is they want their football teams and their sports teams to be, and sometimes it's fueled by stuff, again, that is not sports related, and I think this is riddled with a lot of that here. And I think it's something that's a conversation that in regards to the NFL, I think is very prevalent. When you think about some of the stuff that's going on in the NFL, it's very, very clear to me as a fan on the outside looking in that there's some racial undertones, some real strong racial divides taking place within the NFL that needs to be addressed. And this is a prime example of how, whether or not this turns out to be a racial issue, because of the other things surrounding the league and because of the energy surrounding the league, it makes you go there first or second in regards to trying to assess why this was done, as to where it wouldn't necessarily have to be that if they were a little more, if they had better energy around the organization in regards to racial relations. So that's my opinion in regards to this pick. I don't know if this kid is going to be any good or not. Like I said, I don't follow football like that, so he could be the greatest thing ever for all I know. But I'm listening to what everyone else is saying, and it's all about the value of the pick. At the end of the day, the kid could be great. He could turn out to exceed your expectations. He could turn out to be better than Eli ever dreamed of being. But you still could have had something else to go along with having him as well, and you did not care for that. You chose fear of losing him to someone else who may want him over the idea of being able to properly use the value of the pick you possessed. And it will cost you. Anyway, that's my take on things. BDF signing out. Peace.